All right, we are live. So, did you know it's Friday? It's Friday, everybody. It's Friday. All right, I'm going to make sure that I am set up on here. If you are new to these lessons, please know that these are an invitation, not an obligation. There are principles I'm talking about here based on A Course in Miracles and the Miracle Minded Coaching Certification and Mentorship Training Program I've gone through with Marianne Williamson. These the spiritual path, and I would always consider myself no, in the last 10 years, starting about 10-15 years ago, I started to be more spiritually curious. What is it? How do you become spiritual? What's the difference between spirituality and religion? And I had a lot of these questions floating around in my mind. And then as time would have it, there was an opportunity. And sometimes when there's an opportunity, you need to say yes. So today, what I want to talk about now, here's the deal. If you, again, you can do one of two, well, you can do two of three things. One, you can ignore these, right? You don't have to watch them. You don't have to listen to them. If you are curious, you can just sit and listen to it, right? Just grasp some of these concepts. These concepts were very foreign to me at the beginning because so much of my life had been oriented around what my ego believed in and how to orient my life and what was right, what was wrong. So I really had to dig deep. And this has been a more than a decade journey. You can also take notes. I highly recommend watching or listening the first time, then taking notes the second time. For me, when I'm taking notes, I miss stuff. I miss what's being said. I miss the context of it. So you can always come back. So like I said in the title, this lesson is going to be about time. So what we're talking about here is a Course in Miracles, miracle minded thinking. The lens I'm coming through is a miracle minded coaching perspective. And what we want to understand is miracle minded thinking is not difficult, but it is very different. It's actually 180 degrees away from the thinking of the world. And what becomes difficult about miracle minded thinking is that it's giving up our resistance to thinking in a new and different way. We get very attached to our thinking. Like, even think back to when you had a baby and you had the right way of doing things, or maybe you think you have the right way of loading the dishwasher, or you think the way of folding towels, your way of folding towels is better than your partner's way, or right. So we get very, very attached to our thinking. And so we become resistant to other thinking. And so what is natural to our spirit comes to feel unnatural simply from living in a world where we get very attached to our thinking. And what is unnatural, the kind of thinking of the world, starts to feel very natural. You see, we're mentally trained to see our world through a lens of fear. And you will start to see situations and circumstances in your life through the lens of fear. And my job, what I want to do, A Course in Miracles, all of these principles are helping you hopefully look at things through a new lens and surrender to a different way of thinking. And sometimes we have to get to the point where we realize the way that we're thinking is not helping us, it's harming us. So much of my journey has been about that. What I'm doing here isn't working. How I'm thinking about this isn't working. How I'm dealing with the situation is not making it any better. We have to get really real with ourselves. So a couple of key points. Nothing is more radical or more offensive to the ego than to forgive. It means when you are willing to forgive, it's a willingness to extend our perceptions beyond the evidence of the body's senses and landing instead in the realm of knowledge, like in the realm of what we know to be true, but we cannot see it to be true. And while the ego, it'll insist that this is dangerous, this isn't going to be safe for you, you're putting yourself in emotional harm. In fact, it's only dangerous to the ego. The key to miracles is learning how to trust in the unknown and what you know to be true, even though you can't see it. And that's actually going to be one of the key ways that you can start to create more peace in your life, more love in your life, more joy in your life, and then experience all of that at a greater level. So again, we're going back to time here, this lesson of time, very trippy for me in the beginning. So such a miracle can only take place in the present moment. And when we realize that whatever someone did to offend us occurred by definition before this instant. So miracles can only take place in the moment. Anything that's happened to us has now happened in the past. Two words that I want you to become familiar with are the words holy instant. Okay. In the holy instant, we can interrupt the past simply by letting go of our attachment to the perception of that other person's guilt. We have to be, so really, I'm going to say that again. In the holy instant, we can interrupt the past simply by letting go of our attachment to the perception of somebody else's guilt. This gives both of us, you and the other person, the opportunity to reset the trajectory of a relationship and get off the wheel of suffering and then experience the miracle of rebirth. Most people, Harley, come here. Most people, especially in your key relationships, we continue to suffer not by what is going on right now, but we suffer because of what's happened in our past. We hold somebody's guilt and their mistake that happened in the past, which no longer exists, and we keep bringing it into our present. So again, this whole lesson is about time, relationships, and forgiveness. And then we have to understand that God's time, which is eternity, intersects linear time, the time that we're familiar with, in the present moment. And so the present moment, the now, is the essence of miracle-minded transition. So let's be clear on what the holy instant is. You might want to, bookmark or timestamp this. The holy instant is any moment when you let all that is not the thought of God dissolve, so the truth can shine through. Okay, this is deep. The holy instant is when you let all that is not the thought of God dissolve so that the truth can shine through. So what is not the thought of God? Judgment, vengeance, blaming, attacking, defending. All of those are loveless thoughts. When we're in a loveless state, we are disconnected from God and we are attached with ego. So the ego mind will bring shadow figures from your past, even of yourself, you guys, even of yourself. It'll bring shadow figures from your past into your present. So people from your past, and then someone who's standing right in front of you right now, but all you can think of, all you have of them are memories of who they were, what they did, what happened before this present moment. So if you bring these things from the past into the present, you are blocking change from occurring, and you're programming the future to be a replica of the past. Groundhog Day. Gosh, this took me a long time to learn. Now, then what happens is you miss the miracle of the present moment. You miss the miracle of the now. You miss the miracle. You miss the intercession of God's time, eternity with linear time right here and now. And then you don't create space for that to occur. So the past exists in your mind and the future exists in your mind. And all we have is right now. So A Course in Miracles says only love is real. The love you gave and the love someone gave you. Nothing else exists. A Course in Miracle also says, give me your past so I can change your mind about it for you. Give me your past so I can change your mind about it for you. Because remember, whatever you put on the altar gets altered. Whatever you give to God can change to good. But the Holy Spirit also says, I place my future in the hands of God. Because in the hands of God, God is good, God is love. That is where the best intercession of what we can create can occur. The discipline required is right here. It's to not go into the past and to not go into the future. It's to stay in the present. And while you can get this intellectually, what's hard is getting over your resistance to practicing it. Jake, I need you to get out for just a few minutes while I finish. That should be, thank you. The person you're angry at is different than who they were when they hurt you, by what they did or about what they said. So when you are only able to see their innocence, you then allow for the miracle of transformation, right? You then allow for the miracle of transformation to occur, but you can't allow a miracle to occur if you stay attached and only in the memory of someone and what they did and what they said. Now, you got to remember too, that love says no. Love doesn't say, sure, walk all over me. I'm going to let you hurt me, abuse me, ridicule me, embarrass me, humiliate me, shame. Like, love says no. If you have a child, if the child says, hey, can I stay up all night and drink like 12 cans of pop? You're probably going to say, No, love says no, that's not okay. So love has clear inner boundaries. If you have collapsed those boundaries, it's because ego has convinced you to, and it's your job to reconnect to coming back to the truth of love. So when you got to look at your past sometimes, what love was given to you, and what love have you given? And then what else happened? What love was given to you? What love did you give? Because there's going to be mistakes, you guys. There's going to be shit that happens. There's going to be stuff that goes down. There's going to be wrongs that aren't right. There's going to be all sorts of things that happen. But whenever lovelessness prevailed, what we have to remember is it can transition into love now, as long as the mind is open to that. And so often our minds are so gripped by our past that we don't let it become a possibility. So this is really true and probably plays out most in the playground of our intimate relationships, right? So every relationship is a spiritual assignment. Every relationship, there are lessons to learn. In every relationship, even a casual one, sometimes the lessons are quick. If you have somebody in your life right now and it's going to be a relationship of life, well, then there's probably a lifetime of lessons that person's going to teach you. Now, really, the ego likes to ruin intimate relationships. It's a way of narrowing. It's a way of narrowing your life so that actually you block the light. The light can't get in. The love can't get in. And in an intimate relationship, we have to always remember that it's our job to stay connected to love and allowing that person to be who they are today and not hold them hostage to their mistakes. Ego will want to hold everyone in your past hostage to their mistakes. And then what does that do? You suffer and they suffer. You probably suffer more because they may not even know what you're doing in your mind and what you're thinking and the attack thoughts, although it may not actually have any actual effect on them, but because all minds are joined, it does in some subtle way. So when you become willing, nothing changes until you become willing to change it. Changing it means being willing to perceive it differently, understand it differently, look at it differently. It's really of the mind, right? And charity, this is the real definition of charity. Charity is when you assume something about someone, when you can assume that someone has the ability to achieve a higher level of achievement than they actually have in their own life right now. So you see them in their highest light. You can see them as their best self, in their highest potential. And you don't buy into their notion of brokenness. You just see that person as already healed, already enlightened, already as evolved. And you can do this for yourself as well. But the problem is when you're not thinking like God, not thinking loving thoughts, well, then it's impossible for you to hold them in that highest place. And then not only do you not hold them in their highest place, you're no longer holding yourself in that place, and we drop. We drop. So A Course in Miracles says, whatever you create, or you create what you defend against. You create what you defend against. So in my defenselessness is actually where my safety lies. It's in my defenselessness, not in my defending or attacking. It's in my vulnerability. Gosh, I'm having trouble with words. My vulnerability. So you cannot look outside of yourself for others to change, or for the situation to change, or for the circumstances to change. This is your lesson. This is your deepest soul work. And then the other truth is if lovelessness behavior was exerted onto you, into you, whatever, had damaged you in some way at the time, well, if it wasn't love, it can have no permanent effect because only love is real. Now, this one took me a while. It still takes me a while, to be honest, sometimes. But wasn't love, it has no permanent effect. You were not created to be at the effect of lovelessness. And so what you need to go here is, yes, that hurt, but that was in my past. I don't have to stay hurt. I don't have to stay hurt. And in fact, if you do stay hurt, that's a choice of the ego, not a choice of your true self. And regardless of what someone has gone through or put you through, you don't have to be permanently hurt by that. The trauma that you've experienced in the past doesn't have to be trauma that you continue to experience in your present and then create again or recreate in your future. And that is where we say, through the grace of God, this too shall pass. Through the grace of love, this too shall pass. We don't say, through the grace of hate, anger, and vengeance, through the grace of I'll get you back, retaliation, and whatever those other words might be, then it'll get better. Like, it makes sense when we say it out loud, right? There's no way that those situations change when we act that way. In fact, it usually makes the situation worse. Now, I want you to play with this intercession of God's time, eternal time, and linear time, your time, mortal time, right? The time that we're familiar with, and start to recognize that the holy instant is when you allow the miracle to happen. And whatever kind of transformation you are looking for in your life, whatever kind of miracles you are open to receiving and willing to pray for, meditate for, ask for, and be conscious to, then it's like an attunement of our personality and our attitudinal musculature, so that no matter what the situation is, no matter what the circumstances are, how good a job can you do at being an extension of love? When you start to live your life with these principles as your grounding forces, your life will change and miracles will pop up. They'll pop up because, remember, every time you've blocked miracle by being in a lovelessness state, behavior, words, thoughts, well, then the miracle then goes into a bubble and gets held in trust until you do enough work so that you can move into being an extension of love. And when you're an extension of love, it means that now you're ready to receive. You cannot receive, you cannot get until you give. And a lot of people go, yeah, but I give and give and give and give and give it, and I'm a martyr and I do this, but you're doing it with resentment and out of ego, but you're not doing it actually with pure intention or pure heart. So better late than never on a Friday. And I hope that, as always, you can take something, many things away from this. As you know, the 10-year journey, deep mentorship here, and always would love to hear how it lands, what you're getting, where you feel resistance. I've been, I don't believe that all of this necessarily comes easy, and it comes exactly when you're ready, the right message at the right time. So if there's something that you've been harboring, if there's been a person in your present today that you're pulling the past shadow of who they were, what they did, how they hurt you, and you're constantly bringing it into the present, be clear, you and you alone are creating your hamster wheel of suffering. And only you can get off of it. And this is how you do it. All right. Thank you for being with me. Bye for now.